Hi guys, welcome to Investing with GYK, and I'm back from Japan. Today it will be another rant, and I'll talk about Japan. Um, First of all, uh, I'll just talk a little bit about the differences and between this time and then the last time I went to Japan. Last time was 2013, I think 13 or 12, 2012. It's the last time I went to Japan, I think. And I've been to Japan once, like another in 2009 or something. Uh, so 2010, 2010 and 12, I think. Yeah. Um, what I noticed is that the as a tourist, the frontline staff, the quality of the frontline staff is definitely worse compared to previous trips. They made many mistakes, which includes things like double scanning, double charging an item. They had problems dealing with like tax-free claims and stuff like that. And also, there are a lot more Chinese tourists compared to before. So yeah. Okay, so we'll just go through my trip um, in sequence. All right, so I have found in Tokyo there are like in Yaes, which is like close to Tokyo Station. There are some um, uh, insurance. Yes, there's some insurance uh, almost like agencies, insurance agencies, and then they distribute these pamphlets on different policies. And what I notice is that there are insurance pamphlets on things in a different currencies, like Australian dollar and U.S. dollar. I've never seen this in anywhere else. Usually, people just buy insurance in their own currency. So this is might have something to do with crazy monetary policy that is currently in Japan. So this is one, and this one, well, this one's actually um, this is actually not insurance. This is like elderly care stuff like that. And compared to US, you see a lot more life insurance ads, even on the streets. A lot of life insurance companies in Japan, very few investment companies. Like, let's say in here, you walk around, you sometimes see like Fidelity and stuff like that. But in Japan, you only see these companies in these investment companies near, especially near the investment areas like close to Nihonbashi, where Bank of Japan is really. So we went to this currency museum in Tokyo, and then it's actually in Bank of Japan. And what we noticed is that, well, across all the countries, Japan is no exception. The currency is worth less and less in a single regime until the regime kind of collapses, and they have crazy stuff like they used to run like copper coins, and the copper coin became smaller and worse quality within like 100 years or so, and then the thing collapses. And they had gold. They had gold, not coins, like gold plates almost. They call it all. I think it's either opan or daipan, opan or something. And then there's a kopan. So the big and small gold plates. and even though they're not pure gold, they treat them with some chemical to make them shiny. So even that went down in quality from 87% to like 55, and then we've seen some that's like 17% gold. So yeah, inflation and government. All right. The other thing I noticed in Japan is rent. The rent is actually somewhat low. Okay, so the average Japanese income, average Japanese GDP, let's say, is around $38,000. So Japan GDP per capita, I think 38. Yeah, $39,000. Right, so per month, if we assume that's income, because in US it's the median income per capita, median income per household in US is 60, yeah, like 60K. So I'm assuming it's going to be similar, maybe per household Japan, maybe. Is there anything like that? Median income is around 42,000, right? So this is a single room, and then the cost is around $900. 8.7 man is basically 87,000 yen, and then divide by the conversion is about 100, so you end up with just 870. So maybe this is $950, and then if you divide that by multiply by 12 and then divide by the average income, it's 27%. It's actually fairly reasonable, and this is in the middle of Tokyo, and this is a good location. Asakusa Eki is where all the tourists, like all the entertainment is, and so we saw this in Akihabara. And then you have others like this one, which is shittier, clearly, but the room is very small. But it's also much cheaper, so around 6.2-ish, 6.1, 620. So divide by, let's just do 400 divided by 12, $33,500 per month in income, 6.21, something like that. So you're looking at like 17% average income, and again, Ueno is fairly central. That's where the Narita Express stops, and it's only 4 minutes by foot. In central Tokyo, almost everything is close to railway stations or subway stations, I would say. And you can see these. This is more expensive, but this one again is 2 rooms now, and this is 1,200, 1,100-ish. And this one is even fancier. You got 2 rooms and a living dining room, and much bigger. This one is like $1,500, $1,600. So that's what you see in terms of. So you have to add those up, right? This is quite weird. I don't know why they would. Excuse me. And they would list management fee to be separate, but whatever. You have to combine those. And the other thing is cost of owning a car for 30 minutes. This is the middle of. This is in the center of Tokyo. So 30 minutes, $2. 24 hours, $25. So much cheaper than San Francisco. And this is, you can see this is very close to Ueno. Between Ueno and Ginza. Both are. Ginza is basically where all the expensive shit is. And Ueno is somewhat close to Asakusa, I think. But this is a big station too. And RX car share. So car share is not gonna die in Japan like Uber killed car share here, because in Japan you can't just run Uber. There are two types of license plates in Japan: the yellow one and the white one. The white one is personal, the yellow one is commercial. And if you have a personal plate, you cannot use that to earn money, which is, I think, is overregulation. I mean, come on, right? And like, if I have a car, why can't I just use that to make money? But you can't in Japan. Now, what this resulted in is if you go from Narita Airport to center of to Tokyo Station, which is basically center of Tokyo, by bus you can get it for 1,000 yen, so $10 for 50 minutes of bus ride, pretty cheap. By taxi, or any kind of door-to-door dedicated service, $240. It was like, holy shit, for that's 15 minutes of bus ride. If you're on a taxi, it's probably faster. $240 in a country where that's like more than 0.5% of your yearly income, right? And if you multiply by 12, so that's 7% of your monthly income to do one trip, not a round trip, a single way. It's crazy. So yeah, so in Japan, rental cars and car share services have, I mean, they basically are protected by the government. So yeah. Again, more houses, and this one is actually a storefront in Ningyocho. Ningyocho is very populous. The entire place is filled with people. There's a lot of tourists and just general people. You got two stories, and then it basically you have to pay about $2,200 ish per month, because like 108, I think 2376 divided by 108, yeah, 2,200 per month for such a thing. And it's built like 60 years ago, so probably gonna collapse. Japanese houses don't last that long. And then to get in, you have to pay 1 month of, they call it like gift money, and this is, I think this is I actually don't know what this is. For 4 months to, I don't know if this is refundable, maybe, and then you have some guarantee, basically said no guarantee. Okay, so it's very close to the center, and then 22, just to give you an idea on how much these things cost in Tokyo. And then you got this one is a fairly nice house, and you have to pay fairly spacious by Japanese standards, and you have to pay 10,000 plus that, so maybe $1,800. These are fairly, it's pretty. But think about this, is center of Tokyo. And I mean, if you're in the center of New York, you wouldn't get 2 rooms and a sitting room, right? So, oh yeah, this one. A lot of people in Japan smoke these e-cigarettes a lot, very popular. So equals, you can't buy it in US for some reason. You can't buy it in China because the Chinese government want to make all the monies. So yeah. And then the other one that's competing with it is a Plume Tech. Plume Tech is by Japan Tobacco, and then this one is by Philip Morris, I think. So Japan Tobacco is making Plume Tech, but apparently they don't seem to have a patent or something. There are many Plume Tech copycats, but Japan Tobacco as a company is fairly cheap, but they have shrinking they have shrinking revenue. They own a lot of brands and they're international, but a lot of places people kind of stop smoking. But in Japan, according to my friends, smoking is a way of socializing between superiors and their inferiors. No, their staff, right? So it's the way you get to know your superior, I guess. Okay, so cost of a fish, $5 for a fish, and this is actually from Nagasaki, so it's not local to Tokyo. It's sent all the way from Nagasaki. There are quite a few of these Nagasaki fish stores that I see. Very strange. All right, here is in Kabu. Kabu is basically stocks. Kabu is stocks, and then you can basically see these things. How much dollar per in at that point is about 110, and you get all these things. And then you will see like stock moving up and down and whatnot. Iwaki, whatever. These are all these companies that went up. Okay, so this is interesting. Didn't say when. Oh yes, it did say. So from 6. Wait, what has in 30? Yeah, okay, so this year they increased price from, I think they went up by like 20 yen. This is a very popular tempura shop, and this is in the middle of Tokyo. So this is less than $10. Didn't say what the old thing, but they basically said, "Oh, we tried very hard to keep the price down. I'm sorry, but we have to increase the price." And it says multiple times the raw material went up in price, even though they have tried to maintain the price, they couldn't do it. Data で申しりました。盛りました。And they are. It's kind of weird. Like if you want to increase price, do it, right? But they're like, oh, I'm so like it pains me to change the price. But inflation in Japan. All right, so this is a different place. This is in Chiba. Well, that's outside. That's in Chiba-sen. But if you look at this is actually selling now. It's a pretty large piece of land. They have some weird unit. This thing was like 3.3 square meters per one of this thing. I don't even know how to pronounce it. So yeah, so 1.6 man yen divided by 3.3 is like $48 per square meter. So yeah, quite cheap. So the entire and then if you look at this guy, let's see if I can make it bigger. Oh. This is actually the entire house here, you're looking at $500. This is close to 500 K, 500,000 yen for a for a single family. You got multiple rooms. You got 3 stories. Room. Yeah, 4 rooms and stuff. So that's how much it costs. And you got fancier ones. Let's say here. This is where is this? Okay, it's close to Yamanote line, and it's 800,000, so close to a million. But you can see it's actually not that expensive. I mean, $1 million in New York don't buy you much in terms of housing. I mean, yeah. So okay, so that's this. Where is this? This is what? Yoyogi is also very central. 3 rooms and a sitting room for 800K. Yeah. And you can see the price is around 600 to 800K for very central locations. Gyoen, Shinjuku Gyoen, very central places. You have multiple lines. Okubo, I think this is called. Yeah. And reasonably sized. And this one is what? These are actually renting. This is, what is this? This is a store. This is a store. Yeah, it's a storefront. These are all storefronts, so they are slightly more expensive. Again, these are all storefronts, and then you can see for this is like 25 square meters ish, 25 or less, something like that. For $1,000. Yeah, these are all fairly, but they're all very small though. Small office, like office buildings and all that stuff. Okay, so I'll share this thing. So if you guys want to check out what the price is, so in terms of, if you think about rent to buy ratio, right? So the rent for a big one is like $1,500, $1,800. So sorry, $18,000, and then per year, so maybe 20. Let's say 20, because you have to pay other shit, the management fee or something. That's a reasonably good one. And then if you do 800,000 divided by that, so 40 years. So it's not, buying is not cheap, basically. And if you buy a slightly, cheaper one, maybe you can buy at 600,000. I think that's 600,000. Yeah, divided by like 20,000, like 30 years. So it's like 3% return. And that's something that I noticed in Japan. Everything is so low return. Bonds, stock, everything is low return. Okay, so a bunch of these. If you are interested, you can check it out yourself. Okay, in terms of pricing on food, this is a single meal, or slightly less than a single meal, $5 plus. If you want to get a bigger one, you get $9. So this is in, I think this is in Tokyo. Let me check. Where is that? Yeah, it's in Tokyo. Here is something interesting. Gold in Japan. If you sell gold, 24 karat gold is much higher in price than everything else. 18 karat gold is 75%. But if you do that, you can see that's per gram. I forgot. But the thing is, I was trying to sell 22 karat gold, and it was much lower than what I would fetch in terms of same amount of gold content, much lower than 24. So, yeah, 4909 multiplied by 0.917, I think, is 45 something. But it was lower. And then the other weird thing is both for 24 ounce gold, 24 karat gold, each, this is per gram, an ingot, so coins or bars are more expensive than, say, a ring. Yeah. And quite significantly too. So you got like 2% difference, 3% difference almost. So, and this is again different place buying and selling gold and silver and stuff. So that's their price. All this includes an 8% consumption tax, which is also very weird. I mean, yes, in California you do have to pay sales tax for gold if it's under $1,500, if I'm not mistaken. But it's just stupid. Like, this is like, what? Okay, so this in a jinja. In a jinja, a bunch of these companies would sponsor them, and then they are usually alcohol companies, but some of them are like, I think I remember there was a soy milk, soy sauce company somewhere. But anyways, so yeah, that's how they get sponsorship, and then how they spend. I guess this is promotional money. More houses, but this is in Nagoya, which is a smaller place, much cheaper. You can say $300 or less per single room for essentially 2 rooms. So this is like a studio, right? And if you have 2 rooms, you add 80, very cheap, $300. So yeah, so as soon as you get out of Tokyo, everything gets so much cheaper. And this is just useful if you want to go to Japan, buy one of those. You can get data. And this one is just funny. Please fasten your seatbelt. Makes sense. And then the Chinese one doesn't make sense. I don't know about the Korean one. I don't read Korean, but this one literally says, when bus is walking, please buckle up. It's very funny. I used to think that only Chinese do crazy translations, but apparently all of them do crazy translations. When the bus is walking, yes. This is in Himejijo. It's a very nice place, very recently rebuilt. You can see everybody's not wearing shoes. That's their shoe. Everybody's holding their shoes. It's a castle, and for some reason we have to take off our shoes to go into castles. But that's Japan for you. And all these things are just there to cover the connectors, so they can't see it. Yeah, this stuff. So you Japanese have some crazy obsession with details. Okay, so this is quite interesting. I didn't take the Tokyo one, but in almost everywhere we go, in front of these convenience stores, we can see hiring signs. They typically pay differently, depends on time. In Tokyo, this would be like a good time would be about 1,000, and then bad time, so night shift, would be about 1,200. Now think about how much that is, right? That's per hour. So that's, in Tokyo, that would be on a normal day would be 10, on normal hours would be $10 per hour, and then if you do 2,000 hours per year, like a normal person would work, you end up with 20,000, and that is more than half of of their it's about half of their household income. So yeah, I mean, here this is in Himeji, so that's close to Kobe, which is also close to Osaka, which the things become cheaper. But you see this everywhere, and the stuff they do is basically happily greet customers, register. I don't know what the fuck this means. Place goods, cleaning. So basically do everything. But yeah, and we see these. For hire signs. We also see a lot of asking for tenants, where we saw a lot of apartment buildings trying to get tenants. And then I checked in Japan, apparently a lot of these apartment buildings are vacant. So yeah. And this is in Hiroshima, I think. And this is their their Yukata Matsuri. So some kind of, you can see she's wearing yukata, which is what you wear into onsens, basically. You can see all these people are wearing yukata. The man is doing that too. Just food and fun, and so you see a lot of young people. I think Yukata Matsuri is when a lot of young people kind of go out to date and stuff like that. This is in Fukuoka. Now, watch this. They're trying to sell a huge space, right, in Fukuoka. This lot with a room on it for $270,000. The size for the building is 100 square meters, and if you want to convert to square feet, you can just multiply by 10. And then the actual place, I thought it was huge. Yeah, here, 2,500. It was like 2,600 meters of land for $27,000 to $270,000. This is insanely cheap. But again, the population is shrinking, so who knows? I mean, this stuff here is basically fully built out. You actually have where this is. Let's see. They're all empty. They're not occupied. Both are wood. This one have no room, have no extra space. Basically, the entire thing. That's it. 500K, slightly less than 500K. This one is in closer to a rail transportation though. This one's bus. So yeah, maybe you can just stay in one of those places in Japan. Okay, so parking. Remember in Tokyo costs $2 ish per 30 minutes, so $4 per hour. In here it's 100, so $1 per hour basically. And at night, Yeah, somewhat like that. So an entire day, you're looking at $11. So that's how much parking costs outside Tokyo. Um, and the thing is, they're all self-operated. So the cost is actually really high if you think about it. You need a machine, right? And then you have to light it all the time. And this is just some random shit. And you have these things that have sensors, right? So they have sensors. You back your car in. 3 minutes later, it would come up and hold your car in place, so you can't leave until you pay. But man, you have to maintain these things. These are sensors. Come on, and then it's $11 per day if they use the entire day. So, and the utilization isn't that high. You can see there are empty things. It's like, yeah, same here. It's like, the entire day is $12 and stuff like that. And these vending machines are everywhere. Japanese building, I thought that was just interesting. The same installation as US, basically, and the code is very similar. This is trying to get people to apply for loans, and this is saying you can get a 0.2% discount on interest rate. インターネットからローンを also if you use internet to apply, and you can apply for any loan. But and here say, the cheapest is 3.8%, and 僕らの未来を望み. Okay, so it says, so you can spend it any way you want, and 3.8% personal loan, at most $80,000, 10 years limit. But they didn't say. But it also says if you use internet, it's lower. But there are also higher interest rates, so I don't know exactly what corresponds to what. Here is again how much it costs. This is no longer a rental. This is actually owning. So it doesn't say how much it exactly costs. It says a monthly payment of this much, so like $1,300 for Kumamoto, which is in Kyushu again. And here, this is like for singles. I don't know what this is for. This is for a couple. A couple, you pay $500. For a single, you pay $300 in Kumamoto, or slightly more, depending on how rich you are. So this is the fanciest hotel we stayed in Japan. It's about $1,000 for 4 people, including food. And yeah, it's a nice place. It's pretty large. It's the same size as a normal Japanese, like fairly well-off Japanese style home. And I just think like not that many people can afford it, really. You get your own onsen and stuff like that. This is what you eat. Lots of courses. Very fancy. Night at about 10, I think. When was that? 11. See all the steam. This is in Beppu, and then they call that place hell because a lot of steam comes out. This is from the onsen. This is where we stayed. This is breakfast, also very elaborate. And this is just some. And then you can see this a lot. This is actually interesting because in Japan, a lot of things are like these animated, cartoonish figures. It's almost seems a bit childish. Again, this is in Beppu. And this is actually a city-run. So there are city-run restaurants. This whole restaurant is run by the city. Very interesting. That's to make ceramics, I think. Yeah, and then the cost was something like $40 per person or something, and then it a guy would accompany 3 of us for, I think it was like almost 2 hours to do these things. And yeah, to make your own dye. So you dye your own thing, and then that costs about $25 per person. Yeah, this is interesting too. So if you look at the cars, right? This is a normal car. This one is very squarish. This is a square. Again, another square. And another square. This one is more normal. Square, square, square. And these are called cage dojas. And then a cage doja is really like a light car, a light automobile. And they are typically $10,000. And you can see they're super popular outside Tokyo. They're about $10,000. They're really tall. They're box. Very short, very narrow. They have bench seats. They have no side impact airbags, and they have 660cc in engine, so they can't drive very fast. The whole road is very narrow. This place doesn't look too narrow, but the whole place is very, very narrow when you get into the residential areas. So yeah, that's what Japanese people, most Japanese people drive, I would say. I see that across all cities. Tokyo being one of the richer ones. Oh yeah, you see EV, electric car. So Tokyo being the richer ones, maybe a third of them will drive this kind of car, and in, you know, cheaper places like here is in Amami Oshima, almost like 2/3 or more, 70% drive Keiichi Dosha. So the one I was driving is also a Keiichi Dosha. So Japan, we see very, very few electric vehicles in Japan, even though on highways and highway resting areas they're frequently EV charging stations, like fast charging stations. Chademo comes from Japan. It actually came from like Ocha demo ii desu ka? You want a tea or something like that? So it's like really fast kind of thing. Here is in the middle of Amami, which is like a southern island. That's how much they cost. Interesting thing is you can see these things are the advertisement. They're all washed out by the sun. So basically nobody buys. If you think about it, that just means nobody buys. Okay, so that's about it, I think. It's a really, really long video, and yeah, I'll probably discuss a couple cheaper Japanese investments, maybe. See you next time, and hopefully you didn't get too bored about Japan.